So maybe if we could jump off of that, and if maybe some of you could talk about your own companies or organizations that you've seen who have instituted successful wellness programs. What do they look like? How do you? What are your markers of success?
We've been studying this for the past 7 months, 8 months, pretty heavily, and we just made a presentation yesterday to our leadership development group, about 300 people, and we are going to incorporate a very aggressive wellness program into our budget next year for our employees. We're going to require every employee is insured, and we're not going to require. We're going to incent every employee. Well, you're taking advantage of the law as well. We're going to incent every employee who's insured by New Hanover Regional Medical Center to go through a health assessment. Don't care what the individual results are. I want the baseline of our 4,000 employee workforce. Now, the incentive comes from the fact that we'll pay 80%, whatever percentage, and for a single employee, for example, if the base rate would be $56, right now they pay $3 a pay period. If you have the health assessment, you get $3. If you don't, you pay the $56. I think that's an appropriate incentive to go have a health assessment done, family members and other things. But we want that baseline because we want to know where it is. You know, you always hear this comment that, you know, the United States is ranked 37th by the World Health Organization. It's not because of the types of care we give. It's not the acute care, it's not the interventions. It's because of what we put in our mouth, how frequently we exercise, how much our kids play video games. You run the whole gamut out. It's a lot of lifestyle choices. But with 4,000 people, probably the largest buyer of health care in town, we want an assessment. We're going to hire on-site staff who are going to come in and they're going to be running chronic disease management for us. They're going to be running nutritional counseling that we can offer. We're going to be having exercise counselors who can help people work through fitness. We're going to we've targeted a 10% savings of our $30 million that we spend for year one. So our goal by coming in and making certain that if you are a diabetic, that you know we've got support groups to teach you how to cook appropriately at home, to do the get support groups to talk about what you're living with, to try to get those 150 people with chronic diseases who use up the bulk of your insurance, get them changing their lifestyle patterns, and then, oh yeah, carrying that back into the house for varieties of other things. Because we fundamentally got to change how people choose to do things. I know you've chronicled this and you've seen this, but I'm going to talk for 30 seconds because it's real. Jeff's seen me. About October 5th, I started changing my lifestyle. I go to one of his doctors, Paul Kamitska. I'll throw a plug in for him today. Smartest guy I've ever met in my life. He scares me. But I've lost 31 pounds. I've lowered my blood pressure from 130/88 down to 110/74. I've taken my cholesterol to 141/191. And I've lowered my triglycerides from 303 to 82 during that period of time. I've lost 4.5 inches to the waist. I'm doing stuff you don't do. I'm going off medications. I've got a group of guys over there and ladies who are doing the same things. You just have to you can make lifestyle choices and change what you have to do. So, we were able to spend some more money. Yeah. But on the flip side, we're going to support the employees to make these changes. And we're going to, different thing is, we're going to put the savings into our budget next year. We're going to hold ourselves accountable for driving that. And a lot of people won't take that risk, but we want to make the change. And we already charge a premium for people who smoke. If you're on our insurance plan and you smoke, you pay more. We're not going to do anything for lifestyle choices for at least 24 months, but in 3 years, if there's 8 to 10 to 12 or 20 outliers who don't wish to make it, you're going to ask a different question. And this is where accountability comes in. And as employers going through the cost and variety of other things, we're not going to be able to sit back and just say, oh, this is a sweet benefit that we provide for y'all, especially when we are self-insured. We're completely self-insured. We're going to have to change. We're going to have to hold people accountable for this benefit, because if it doesn't, it's going to come out of your wages. It's going to come out of your other benefits. We can't offer more benefits in the process. And with all these mandates coming down on employers, you're going to have to drive accountabilities into that process. And I think that's where the wellness is going to go as we go through it. We can monitor. Jeff's talking about, we can identify, we can monitor, but that's where, and that's tough decisions, because we as Americans don't like to interfere in people's lives. We're their insurer, we're not their employer when it comes to this, and that's what I think we have to remember.
I'm curious to get, off of what Jack said, I'm curious to get an insurance perspective on that. I mean, if you had a group that, the entire group became as good-looking as Jack is today, I mean, I mean, you saw that level of health.
You know what? We just can't go there.
Well, we want to give realistic expectations.
I was thinking you arranged this by most follically challenged to least. Is
that why I'm on this end?
I thought it was high testosterone to low testosterone, if you believe the story, so that's all right.
We need to switch seats then.
Just kidding, all right.
You guys need to learn your alphabet. So Garland, if you could share with us in terms of what, if a group, let's say you have a wellness program that is extremely successful, what bottom line impact can that have?
Well, I think with wellness, Jack's comments, and they have done a fabulous job. And if you meet their leadership team, if you walk out of there and not be energized by what they've done, there's probably something wrong. But the key thing is the culture. They have made a culture change. And companies that are successful with changing lifestyles as it relates to healthy habits, as it relates to wellness, they have to be committed to it for the long term. I think if you look at this in short increments, it won't work. I'll give you an example. One of the companies that we worked with, they made some changes on their co-pays as it relates to generics. Obviously, a lot of generics are maintenance drugs, and they saw a decrease the following year in compliance with maintenance drugs. Well, they were committed to, over the long term, they went back and changed those co-pays, because you can make those short-term decisions that do not benefit your employees over the long term. So it is a change. You have to be committed to it for the long term. You will not always see immediate results from those changes. You have to get consumer engagement. We struggle with two things in this country today, diabetes and obesity. 40% of this population in the United States will be obese by the year 2015. So we have some disease states as a country. If we don't aggressively deploy wellness programs and consumer engagement, we will collectively as a society struggle, but as employers will struggle too. So to reinforce what Jack's point, it has to be a culture change. You have to be committed to it over the long term. It will pay off. You won't see all the benefits the first year, but each year. And then the second piece of that is continue to expand. Continue to start off with smoking cessation. That sounds good. Some companies started in the building, then they move it to the campus. But if you have a no smoking policy, you've got to deploy smoking cessation classes. You've got to support people, and you have to keep offering those classes to help people quit.
We have a Red Apple program, real quickly, that we offered for our employees. So when you come in the cafeteria, there's a Red Apple opportunity, which meets all the North Carolina Prevention Partners health status. We charge less for the Red Apple than we do for baked chicken versus fried chicken. We charge less for Diet Coke than we do Coke. So we're starting to change how we charge stuff and make employees make decisions. Do you want to pay more for a Coke or less for a Diet Coke? Sorry, Jeff.
Jack, how expensive is a Haagen-Dazs bar?
How much cheaper is our little strawberry shortcake shot that's only got 112 calories and 3 grams of fat? Yeah. It's cheaper than the Haagen-Dazs bar on the other side. So we are giving people choices that are cheaper out of the process. I mean, that's what we're trying to change people's behaviors, and changing people's behavior is the roughest thing we do in the world.
Yeah.
Charles?
Yeah, I think for those of us who are not self-insured, we're going to be very dependent on the insurance companies to recognize the programs that we do put in place, and if we can demonstrate that they are beneficial, to be sure that you guys incentivize us so that we can continue to do that. We're very fortunate that we're getting ready to open a rehab center with a wellness program, which we will be offering the memberships to our employees at no charge, with the idea that it will come back to us on the employer benefit side and cost.